Welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. Today we're going to take a look at a very unique program and project to provide leadership training and empowering women. My guest is an expert in this area. Janet Salazar is the CEO and founder of the Impact Leadership 21. Janet is also the executive chairperson or chairman of the the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations. I'll get it right in a minute. Janet, welcome back to Global Connections Television. Delighted to have you again.
Thank you, Bill. I'm happy to be back.
I appreciate you being with me. Let's start off with the, we'll start off backwards. Start off with the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations. What exactly is that group? When was it formed? Why was it formed?
Okay, so the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations is one of the NGOs accredited with the UN in general consultative status with the Economic and Social Council, and it was founded in 1988. So we just celebrated our 30th year anniversary last year. Actually, thank you so much.
Good.
Yes,
yeah.
And I am one of the new generations of officers who are moving it forward and continuing the legacy that we started.
Wonderful. Every time I think of 1988, it automatically flashes the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, set up by the United Nations, and of course they focused on climate change, global warming, and really rang the alarm bells. But 1988 is one of those years. But congratulations again, wonderful. Well, what exactly does the foundation do? How do you, do you provide training programs? Do you network with UN agencies, private sector? How do you do that?
So all that kind of like roll into one ecosystem, but at the core of our mandate really is to promote public-private partnerships. And that's pretty much, you know, at the heart of what we do. And for this to really fully support the advancement of the Sustainable Development Goals, and hoping that with advancing public-private partnerships that we could truly contribute to the achievement of the SDGs in 2030. As you know, it's we started the decade for that now, so we have about 10 years. So we're working hard and doing our best to contribute to that effort.
Are there certain projects you're working on or programs with them?
Absolutely, yes. So we partner with quite a few organizations, and one of these is the Impact Leadership 21, which for many years now have served as the convening partner of the foundations. So every time we hold our events here at the UN, as an example, the power of collaboration that we do every year, Impact Leadership 21 is at the forefront of mobilizing all that for the foundation. And it also is responsible for doing a lot of trainings related to the SDGs, you know, cultivating partnerships with the private sector and the business sector in promoting the work that we do, not only at the foundation, but the United Nations in general. So.
And now the website for the foundation is www.fsun-global.org.
Yes.
And what is it for the Leadership 21? What's your website there?
For the Impact Leadership 21 is www.impactleadership21.com.
Okay, so we get them both out early.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, you've got, what are you doing anything in the area of high impact leadership training now? What have you focused on that in the past? What are you doing?
So
to
yeah, with
help
that we
work
focus
with folks in that?
Yeah, for the high impact development and training program, specifically we focus on the leadership team of companies and corporations that we partner with, for example, IBM. You know, we wanted to make sure that the training on the sustainable development and conscious investing, etc., are geared a lot towards women in leadership positions at these companies, because we believe that women has a lot to offer when it comes to work that are necessary for social impact. So yes, that's
right.
that's
And
how
now,
we do
is
the
this
program.
part of your program? You had one, Executives on the Go. Is that part of this?
Yes, that's part of it as well. Yeah, Executives on the Go. Again, targeting the high-level decision makers in companies, specifically women, and influencing them and training them on how to sort of like make very sound decisions that are geared towards a more gender lens, with a gender lens and consideration. And this is also, of course, related to the SDG number 5, which is gender equality, as you know.
Very important, very important.
Very
right.
important.
Now, you focus on women, but do you have anything particularly tailored to men?
Yes,
because they're
they're
part of the solution and part of the problem.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
You have to bring them into the mix.
Exactly, and thank you, Bill, for bringing that up. We actually, for almost 6 years now, we have this long-running platform called Conversations with Men. And this is where we engage men in leadership positions and influence, to bring them on the table and really talk about both working together, again, that gender lens to elevate women into leadership positions and decision-making positions. We know and we acknowledge the fact that without men, this cannot happen. And this is very dear to me because I created this platform just for the practical reason in the fact that right now, even with all the effort, men still hold the majority of the share of the pie. Men still sign the biggest checks and make the biggest decisions that shape our world. So what do you do to sort of like leverage that is you bring them in and talk to them about women and what we could do together. So that's Conversations with Men.
That is very important, very important. Now, you mentioned before we went on the air that you recently did an interview at the New York Stock Exchange. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was the purpose of that interview and what will come out of it as far as how does it tie into what you're doing?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so that's 2 weeks ago we had this interview. I was interviewed by Impact TV. Hosted at the New York Stock Exchange, and the purpose of that again really is to promote public-private partnerships for the SDGs, and at the same time how to utilize fintech, financial technology, to support the Sustainable Development Goals so that we all achieve it in 2030. We also touch, of course, about Conversations with Men there because, again, in the financial technology sector, as we all know, majority of the players are still men. So, again, there is that element, of leveraging that influence.
It certainly is. Now, you said Impact TV, Impact Television. Is that part of your Impact?
No, it's not part of us yet, but we are partners. So we sort of like in one ecosystem tend to utilize the same power words together, we work together for many, many years now. The founder, Vincent Molinari, and I have been working with the UN partnerships for many years now. So that's right.
Yeah, the last time you were on the show, you mentioned a program that you started, or I'm not sure if you started in 2014, The Power of Collaboration, Women in the Future of Global Leadership. Is that an ongoing program? Is that one that you do every year? Or
yes.
And what are some of the conclusions at the end of that program?
Yes.
What comes out of it?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And yes, it's an ongoing annual summit that we do here at the UN. So we position it either to happen before CSW, the Commission on the Status of Women, which is March and upcoming. So it's either before that or after the summit. And what it is, Power of Collaboration, pretty much is, has a lot to do with really optimizing conversations around women's global leadership. So we do panel discussions, we do high-level consultations and collaborations through that one-day summit. And it's all about really, again, advancing and leveraging resources in order to move forward with women's leadership and economic development. So it's all under that umbrella.
Yes. Now, Global Connections Television's it's going into its 15th year right now. You're going into your 15th year, so we're running in parallel tracks here, but moving towards the same goals. How have you noticed over the years the change in the interest of the people, the men, the women, corporations, the private sector, the non-governmental organizations, as far as where you were 15 years ago and where you are today, as far as them realizing that we're all in this together and we need to work on the Sustainable Development Goals? Do you see that they're getting more receptive and want to work with you more today than maybe 15 years ago?
Yes, that I can absolutely say yes, based on the years, that has been and the future year. Absolutely. There's more support, more resources being allocated, more commitment, especially from the private sectors to work together in the achievement of our shared mission and vision, I guess, not only with the one that are spearheaded by the United Nations, but now with the Sustainable Development Goals. I think more and more people, especially the younger generation, are more conscious. That's the best word, to describe it. So people are more conscious and more engaged, more knowledgeable, because you can pretty much just look everything up online, and there's transparency, and a lot of this technology enable people to get to know more and get more information, and that actually, I believe all contributes to people wanting to get more engaged, give more money in the private sector, give more of their time, and resources, etc. So overall, I think we have progressed a lot, but of course, as always, and with humanity's journey, I think there's always more work to be done. It never stops.
It doesn't, until we have a perfect world, and I'm not sure what that would look like. We're far from it, that's for sure.
Yes.
That's for certain.
So we do what we can, we do our best. Yeah.
Now, who are some of your key United Nations partners? I know you have a lot of private sector partners,
Yes.
but who are some of the key agencies you network with or
Yes.
develop programs with and that type of thing?
Right. So right now we work closely with UN Office for Partnerships. Will Kennedy is a very good friend. So it's, I think, the best agency right now, in terms of partnership with private sector, where, we interface a lot of, and at the core of what we do, which is public-private partnership. So they've been very supportive. When we had our event last time during the General Assembly, they've been very supportive of that, and we're able to participate in terms of speaking with our shared goal, pretty much, which is the SDGs. So yeah, and we also work with a lot of UN missions. So we're partners and friends with a lot of the ambassadors whose mission in terms of their representation here at the UN is perfectly aligned with what we do as well. And one of them again is the SDG number 5, which is gender equality.
Gender equality. How important is that? All 17 of them are important, but how important is number 5?
I think it comes down, the importance of SDG 5, which is gender equality, all comes down to human rights. Making sure that we really have stick it to the ground that a lot of women are still marginalized, and so with SDG number 5, we hope that we could really level that playing field. Again, only with partnerships and only in partnership with men together. So that I would really love to emphasize. Yeah, we're getting some good progress globally, but still there's a lot of work to be done for SDG 5.
That's right. If we look 20 years back, progress has been made, but we have so much more to do.
So much work
so we do.
Yeah.
Well, you're watching Global Connections Television, which is a privately funded, independently produced program. The opinions expressed on Global Connections are solely those of the moderator and his guests. We'd invite our viewers to go to our website at www.globalconnectionstelevision.com to view previous programs. Also, if you're involved with a PBS or a community access television station, or perhaps just an educational institution that has an intra-campus television hookup, or you just have a computer, you like our shows, and you'd like to share them, please feel free to do so. Global Connections Television is provided at no cost as a public service to help us better understand international issues and how they impact our lives. Today, we're looking at a very unique organization, or 2 organizations really, that work to provide leadership training and to empowering women. And my guest is an expert on both of them. Janet Salazar is the executive chairman of the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations. And Janet also serves as the CEO and founder of Impact Leadership 21. Janet, welcome back to our program here.
Thank you, Bill.
You're involved with 2 very important organizations, extremely important organizations, and you've done a remarkable amount of positive programming over the past several years. What do you have in the pipeline that you're looking at doing in the future? What would you like to do, or you're definitely going to do?
Yes.
Maybe not just think about it, but do it.
On a more personal note, or as a culmination of everything that I've been doing and I know I will continue to do, I am actually collaborating with a fellow investor and a leader to writing a book.
You're writing a book?
Yes.
And the topic?
Writing a book and the
what's it about?
So through this book, we hope to feature and highlight the work of influencers behind the influencers. So as we know, we have all the presidents, right? And we know all of them, CEOs, etc. But what we forget many times are that there are so many or a few key advisors behind these leaders. And these advisors are the ones responsible for the most part in influencing the decision of our leaders. So we wanted to dig deeper into that through the book and send a message about the important work that these advisors or these influencers behind the influencers do, and how they can actually, their influence can either make or break our societies, depending on what advice they give to our presidents, our prime ministers, even our Secretary General here at the United Nations. So I'm excited about that, and we have been getting a lot of interest in terms of the leaders globally that are wanting to collaborate on us on this one. I think it's a good project, and that's what I intend to commit myself to do on the sideline as I focus more on the work that we do at the foundation.
Along with everything else you're doing.
Yes.
That's right. Well, it sounds like a very interesting topic, and you're right, there are scores of people who help the people who are in the public, shall we say, members of Congress, the Senate or Parliament, or a president or someone like that, who really do the research on the topics, because a person can't be an expert on everything. It's absolutely impossible. And you have to have people who are very diligent, who are very well educated, who come at the job and can do it professionally. Are you focusing on certain areas, or are these going to be people who are ambassadors at the UN, CEOs of private sector companies, NGO heads, non-governmental organization heads, or all of the above and even more? What are your thematic areas?
Yeah, actually, Bill, yes, we are going to touch on all the segments of the society. Political is very important, the business sector is very important, foundations, of course, and international organizations, because these are, again, the entities that could shape or make or break our societies in general and even the world. And so, of course, we will also feature a few of those that are working on the ground and what kind of decision makers behind the decision makers they also have when they do that work on the ground, which is very important, as you know, especially right now. So, yes, we are going to touch on all the segments of the society, I guess, but at a much more leadership sphere.
It sounds like another program, another taping. Keep us posted on how it's going, and we'll be sure and focus on that and talk about it. But it sounds like a very interesting topic.
Thank you, Bill.
It certainly does.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay, please do. Yes. Well, with the did you also mention to me earlier, and I'm trying to remember on this, that you were thinking about starting a TV channel or something like that? Do I remember that correctly?
Yes.
And if so, when will you do it and how will you do it?
So actually, this is happening right now. We've already signed official partnership with Molinari Media, and the taping at the New York Stock Exchange is the first that we have. So they are going to they're going to devote a specific channel for our foundation under the Impact Show, and we will be populating it with segments where I will be the correspondent. So I get to be like Bill Miller. And we'll be featuring influencers as well, all anchored around the mobilization of the Sustainable Development Goals, but very specific on our focus, which is the contribution of financial technology, fintech, in advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. So that's one, and impact investment. So these two are very important. And of course, the underlying lens of focusing that into gender equality. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And I would love to later on, again, explore this partnership with you, and maybe I get to feature you as a very special guest.
Delighted to do it.
Thank you.
That would be very good.
So that will be, we're going to go around the globe in shooting. So we started with New York Stock Exchange. We have partnerships with NASDAQ. Bloomberg LP as a content partner, and then London Stock Exchange is going to happen, Shanghai Stock Exchange, and Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and we're lining up all the exchange marketplaces. So it relates to fintech, right? Financial and all that, yeah, and investment, of course.
Right. So and of course, it's good to bring this information about the Sustainable Development Goals because they are so important to eliminate poverty, to zero out hunger, to empower women, to combat climate change, to promote partnerships, to have clean oceans, to have good health, decent work conditions. These are all very important to people all around the world, all 7.7 billion people on the planet, and the stock exchanges and the private sector can play a critical role.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what we've been working on for more than 10 years now, and that's what we hope to continue to work on. Yeah, the resources is massive, but we have to be able to know how to utilize that and how to get them to write the checks for the Sustainable Development Goals.
And that's the thing, it costs money to do these things. We know what it's going to cost to clean up the planet or try to reverse climate change. Trillions of dollars.
Trillions of dollars.
But the question we have to ask ourselves, if we spend trillions today and if we don't spend the trillions and we don't do anything next year or the year after, 10 years from now, what shape will the planet be in?
Exactly.
And will it be tens of trillions we will have to spend? It's not going to get better. We know that for sure.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Bill, and I'm sure you know this and our viewers know this, that without trillions of money that's needed to mobilize the Sustainable Development Goals, we cannot achieve it. There's just no way we can do it. That's just the reality. So that's why there's a lot of work to be done, to mobilize funding and investment on the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals.
And there's so many unknown variables. Right now, we're talking about the coronavirus. It's terrible, terrible disease, and it's starting to spread around the world. And this is something totally unexpected. But this is just one event that could change the whole landscape. It could put the international economy into a recession if it's not dealt with promptly, because it could shut down the tourist business in Asia and other parts of the world. There's so many repercussions that come off of this, and this is, as the former Secretary General Kofi Annan said when he was talking about, I think it was the SARS epidemic, that we're only a plane ride away from an epidemic. And that's true. The world is so interconnected, and you focus on that.
Absolutely, and you're so right in pointing that out. Actually, this morning, I just got back from Toronto, Canada, and this morning I had to force myself to wake up because I wanted to be on top of the news about what's going on with the coronavirus, because as you know, our foundation has offices in Beijing and Hong Kong. So we've had to call and tell them to close the office, no operations. Our staff are at home right now, and the economic, not just social and health, but the economic implication of this is massive, as you pointed out. Already we've had losses, right, in the stock market, and it's affecting a lot of tourism and the services business. A lot of these huge companies have closed down. There's no transportation, etc. It's just, and it's just a matter of not even 2 weeks, like 10 days, when it started to really, skyrocket in terms of the effect of it. And already we're seeing global, massive negative effects. So we hope that it can be controlled pretty soon, but you're right, this could be really catastrophic.
Hopefully we'll get a handle on it. And of course, the UN World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control around the world are working on this, and it will take this collective effort to get a handle on it and to eliminate it. And this is like with any problem we're talking about. It doesn't matter if it's climate change, if it's global warming, if it's the pollution of the oceans, the human trafficking, whatever. It takes a concerted effort. And Janet, You folks are doing a great job in these different areas.
Thank you.
But I want to thank you for being on the show today. And I want to thank you for a very interesting and a very informative program, Janet Salazar.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm Bill Miller. Thank you for joining us today on Global Connections Television.